Tenzin Dorjee, Phuntsok Gyeltsen, Let me remind every one of ourselves here and those who are plugged in online to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta, altruistic motivation, we should participate in this discourse on Bodhisattva's perfection of samadhi or concentration.
The suggestion did the Karsa Shazang the garden and the Karsi was an embating what did mafia.
So where we left off last week, and the main point that we'll continue to discuss today is the need for us to restrain attachment and clinging, or if possible, let go attachment and clinging, and seek solitude, right? The benefits of being in a solitude.
Shiva Pony, but the Betsune, none of the saw the Kundi Shiva, Kundi Shiva, Tabata, Shiva, Roji, Bane, Mounty, Tevada, Dembi, Kivata, Dembi, no duty, never Shagula, Dea, Emala, Toa, Jebi, Shiri. Yonde Chavadabala, Toji, Yonde, Shebane. Naze embatena, embatena, tenje chebrato, naze embatena. No dona deve to yidu, redavada shadang, sing jong besona. Hinjin la me sek me bajene, me was a mijiba. Teda ye me da me kashi me mingui. Toba the Jeve, Neve, Samsur, Sojan, Jami, Namdu, Dojo, Nid. Yilla de Wajibe, Jurjo, Tosobo, Teda, Dandu, Jeda, Tu, Nami, Shigese. Hinchi, the never shall, Churna, de Mamba, Jabet, the Jebana, so, So Dona de Dada Shebala Rabdin Baby Demigo Shela Tote Minguara to Radu Baby Dimde Tada Jizo to be Chebe Demigo Chebe Demigo Sheba de Dona Saba mi de Bado Teve no Sute na Ro Sabi de Teve no Dona Deva Shijodos. What did you that? That and Shadow Dispan and Embate Carson any immediate day was this that. Until I told Shada that was about you. Your Martidala, Migutoya, Tija, Consul, the Pogris, and 6 years, the Thomas, the Yomars, Consul, she said, in the summer, you shaggies. So you tell me, Nam the theatre, and chickens on the Consul, chick, you poor, you said, Tomo, she said, she likes in the year. Today, Shartse to Gumungu Tobata Yomars, Consolia, some progress, in the case of she go, some of those she go, that's Yomaris. She thought, and do they were show yours. She said, we not there, you did it.
Those of you who have this English translation of the Bodhisattva Guide by Stephen Batchelors and published by the Tibetan Library in India, we are on page 105. And if you are using a different translation, it might be on a different page. So the Geshe-la's reading of the extensive commentary and explanation pertains to stanza number 25. Let me read it first. This is how the Bodhisattvas think or feel. When shall I come to dwell in forest amongst the deer, the birds, and the trees that say nothing unpleasant and are delightful to associate with? Okay, so that's the stanza. So the main point that we have been discussing for a while is the need to recognize attachment we have towards external things, material things, and so forth, and attachment to the internal beings, meaning the loved ones, special dear near ones, right? And then those we don't like, we dislike them or hate them, right? So these are the issues we deal with as we live amongst ordinary childish like sentient beings like us. And we have to really be careful and sensitive what we say. If we say something, it might hurt somebody's feeling, or they might something, it might hurt my feelings. So we have to be, deal with all these issues. But if you go in a solitude, well, it resolves that problem, so to speak. Of course, temporarily, I would say, footnote. And so as Geshe explained, that in the forest, in a solitude, right, you are living with the nature and the animals in the forest, the birds there, and so you don't have to worry about what you say, because it's not going to hurt the feelings of the trees or the birds or the animals, right? And they're not going to say anything that's going to hurt your feelings. So there is not going to be unpleasant exchange of the speech or the words, right? So that's peace. That's there. And also, trees and the birds and the animals, they don't have any hopes and expectations from us. They don't. So you don't have to behave in a way that in order to, go along with expectations of others, isn't it? When we are with ordinary sentient beings, we bring our hopes and expectations put on each other, and we don't, sing to the dance, to the tunes of all those things. Geshe didn't put it that way, right? Then we are not happy, isn't it? And if we say something, we might hurt each other's feelings, right? Overly sensitive or not sensitive enough, whatever. All those issues are there. So getting attached and then getting angry with each other because you said something about me. How can you? But in the forest, we have freedom. We don't have to worry about all those things. Nobody's going to say anything bad about you. Animals don't. Okay? And whatever you say is not going to hurt their feelings. And they don't bring with all the expectations and hopes on you. You have the space freedom. So you have mental peace there. Okay? So as Geshe explained, that usually when we are, in the crowd, so to speak, when we are with each other, people, we have to be mindful of, what we say and how we behave. So we have to be mindful of our physical behaviors, actions, and verbal actions, right? And otherwise, you know, what we say or do might tick off somebody else, and what they say or do might tick us off, and so that issue, right? We don't know how all of this is going to sort of play out, so to speak. Okay? So that means we have to restrict our freedom to some extent, how we are going to behave, and what we can say or cannot say, and all the expectations people put on us, like, okay, what do I do with that, right? All of that. But in the solitude, we don't have to worry about all of those things, isn't it? So we have the freedom of real speech freedom, right? You can say whatever you like. I mean, it's not going to hurt the trees and the birds and the animals, really, you know. And they're not going to say anything. They don't have to restrict their speech. That's going to hurt your feeling, you know. And you don't have to worry, are the animals going to like if I do this, if I run a little fast, walk a little fast, if I take my time and sit down, are they going to be pissed off about me? No, they don't. You have the freedom of physical actions, behaviors, you know. And so that really de-stresses us, and that brings a lot of space and peace in the mind, isn't it? I can be myself, right? Because it doesn't matter. I don't have to, you know, play the games here, so to speak. Geshe didn't say that, right? To fulfill certain hopes and expectations and all of that, because I can just be myself, right? Isn't that wonderful, right? The freedom, the qualities of being in a solitude. And as Geshe said, in the context of Lamrim teaching, teaching on the stages of path to enlightenment, it's called Lamrim, graded path. You know, often our lineage masters say that when we are amidst crowds, other people, we should watch our speech. Be mindful of what we say or how we say and all those things, because that can create issues. But when we are alone by ourselves with nobody, then we should watch our mind. You know, what the monkey mind is doing. Geshe didn't say the monkey mind, I just put it, right? So this is part of our practice. Now in the solitude, we don't have to worry about, right? If you will, the saying the darnest things. It's not going to hurt the birds or the trees, you know? And so that's so much freedom, so much space, so much free of stress, free of, right? So those are the qualities of being in a solitude.
What is it? Gomjada, what did it? That Tombo de any near Deshe, any Gomjani. And it's top of the Ozi, that's what that Ozi measures of the dead Dingsu of Tesla. Any young Sangasing Mount Joshi, Church changes, say, do in fact, Kujo go there, Piggy, Jane was chilled this when you go run to go to Mutani. Did Jane yourself go to Sigdo, Larina, 3 years. Tomo the year, but the Tinnick always do that. Something in the China country to win. Could you a bit? 8 years ago, Tibetan, any Shartse again, the chair needed to cut with the needed that. That Georgia going to route took to you. In that, go your radio. No. That could you dig it out with your that. Chadaj, you'll be Sangasiri ladies and Namana Sangasiri, and the Copain to Marva. What is it?
So the bottom line is this: as you know, those of you who have received Lamrim discourse or teachings on the stage of path enlightenment, that you know we really need to do meditation, right, to be able to tame our mind and to make all the spiritual progress. But meditation, you know, cannot be done, you know, when we are going bananas and we are disturbed by so many zillions of things, right? Then we can't do meditation. So in the beginning, if we are with other people in the crowd, there's so many things that can disturb our mind, right? And how can you really do a good meditation quality? Because so many factors are playing here out. So we need to isolate ourselves from the hustle and bustle of life and be in a solitude. So at least a lot of distractions are taken away. Now there's a hope that we can do a good focused meditation, right? But then after spending some good time in a solitude, now we feel like, okay, I have developed some confidence. I think maybe I made a progress. I changed something. Maybe I gained some realization, right? Looks like I have, you know, I have changed something. Now to test ourselves, the Lamrim says, then at a certain point, it's good to bring ourselves back into the real world, so to speak, as you said, situations, and be next to the objects of attachment and the hatreds and all the delusions, isn't it? And if we find that, well, now they really don't bother us that much, you know, and we are able to maintain. That means we really made a progress, you know, pat on your back. Great, your meditation is successful. But then when you bring yourself into the real situation, you are the same old self, right? Easily agitated, and you go bananas about everything. That means, no, you didn't do good meditation, isn't it? So it's time to go back and then again continue, isn't it? So this is how we can test ourselves, isn't it? Sometimes when you spend a certain amount of time in solitude, it looks like you really changed. Very nice, because you are away from all the conditions that you normally gets on your nerves. But when you bring back there, then you behave exactly the same thing. That means no change here. But other times, when you come back, well, now you don't react in the same way. You have a certain amount of control. That means you made progress, right? This is how we do our practice and test our own development as we hear in the context of Lamrim teaching.
What did it cause? Because now never the Yondian to what they cause Embaten was there, Embaten the career saying, I did take a Lunga, which was a Songoya Yomarsu, Takora. Tadus in the Shena sent the Pokers there. She gets a dish in the Java, you say, about dedicated on Yomarsu, but do you mention the Areva? That's the same to Sota Soya, Lunga, Cheval, the Teva in the Sota. The Chongzum to a Chong Gills, Sangasin Devina. So the same ready. Lunga Cheva the Beach Kong, she was so good about that. This is the call of home, this is the Arctic Shaven was out of Shazi. This is the low pump way, ye devotion to your cook of your mara. She said, that's the big part of Harsi going my grandmother. Lunga Cheva, Shindal Port or the Minguto Dorjee, Tibetan, the May in the same to Kuyang Wachakarawa. Kuyang Wachas going young.
So here we are discussing the benefits of being in a solitude or the qualities of solitude, right? So what kind of gains we have if we isolate ourselves for the time being from hustle and bustle of life and be in a solitude? Well, we gain all the freedom of the physical actions and verbal actions, isn't it? And normally when we are with the people, well, like we have to be concerned about, right? Am I saying the right thing? Am I talking too much? I'm not talking enough? Or how am I talking? And how are they doing? All of these things, right, is a lot of concern. So these are all related to anxiety and the worry and the expectations and yagadi, all of those things, right, related to how should I behave properly, or am I behaving properly or not? Am I saying the right thing? Am I saying too much? What is this going on, right? Both ways, right? So this is a lot of restrictions on our actions. You know, that's why even if we want to meditate, because we are so cranky right here, we can't do a good meditation. But in the solitude, free. We have the space, mental, isn't it? We don't have to worry about all that anxiety. If I say something, are the birds going to be mad with me? Are the trees going to be like angry with me? Or what do they expect me to say or behave? No, no such thing. It's just free. So when you have that mental, like a freedom and a space, now think about doing a meditation. Wouldn't it be a really nice meditation there, right? It's going to start. So these are the benefits of being in a solitude.
What did near you, dear children? To pull us over, pull come trabulas over, Sabukum trabulas or him. Because the neighbors, the Sadon over the Condosina, because it's Sharwa on the Chukoya's Guru. But the Trabush the Sabukan rivers. So we know near them, Miller near them, Miso Henge, Dagusoma Mavis, the area, Ted Madu said, Dagusoma, Susan Divashi, maybe Lagon Tomba Yidu, Tomba Yidu, Jonjun Double Younger. So, Kamba unique because he Ravrida, Timina, any Hinjumba Belomaya, where you get the Shava de Katung, you didn't do this or that. 동보 연가 예배 총대 유ring 동시선 대기 파도 시다데 눈이제 데스 두 남신나 나네 레당시베 캠의 예두다 두지샤나 라르메동아 실레바라 데바타부 고네스 자드 메다신 대다 강나야 데바다 샤바 메바스 네바 주기 냐드스 예라 모바시바함 양테리 네제네 남주 도레베체 니미소라 샤베 자드 메다시 셰와양 예도스 오다데 에멘니엘 거라 사동 대셔 카레르 데레스 토보거 네 샤베 샤히에 요마르티 디고메 다 기지데 네 보고서다 아니한테 보민도 요마르스 거기 샤코 지 레세 요마르코 거라 라자 샤레메 셰다 데샤에 요마르스 인테디니 통보는 비게 엠바 디오가사니 비게 켐지 샤히에 두두 샘도 야 용모지시 때 용기도 노디 용모자데 텔바 잡쇼 축셔보시엔 인디 엠베니에서 곰자고 레스 오디스게 다.
So at the bottom of page 105, stanza 26 reads, "When dwelling in caves, in empty shrines and at the feet of trees, never look back, cultivate detachment." Unquote. So Geshe-la's explanation, pertains to that stanza. So we're talking about the benefits of being in a solitude here, right? Of course, in terms of accommodation, housing, so to speak, what do you find in a solitude? You find beautiful caves, okay? Or you might find any kind of structure that can protect you from the rain and the sun, right? That's what you need, roof over your head, so to speak. And also you might find some shrines, which are not owned by anybody in particular, isn't it? It belongs to no one. Okay? So you can use that as your dwelling place, or you can, sit under the greenwood trees, under the beautiful canopy of trees, and, Geshe-la didn't say that. You don't have to pay the bills, there, my footnote. So, I mean, this really takes up a lot of worries usually we have about, right, when we live in a real house and with the families and friends, isn't it? So when we live with our family and dear and near ones, right, and we get attached to each other, and sometimes we annoy and irritate each other, right, all these entanglements, right, all these hopes and expectations we put on each other, and right, that's what's going to, right, how should I say, impact our life and our thinking. But whereas in a solitude, if you're under the greenwood trees, right, you don't have all of those things, isn't it? Entanglements, You are the ones who have developed the determination that I'm going to stay in a solitude and focus on my practice. We are talking Bodhisattva's way of life here, isn't it? And as you do that, you are able to let go your attachment to the families and dear and near ones, relational partners, isn't it? All of those things. Not that you don't appreciate them, but now you don't have to deal with all the baggages, because they are not with you. So as, what am I got here? So that's a big change there, isn't it? So it really helps us to be able to work with our mind and be able to cultivate, hopefully, you get the right sense with the English word, detachment, isn't it? That we are able to, how should I say, detach ourselves, from the dear and near ones and all the entanglements in a very afflictive and diluted way. So we are able to, do that. So we don't really sit on all the entanglements, right? We just never look back on that, isn't it? And at the time when we have to say goodbye, that is wonderful, isn't it? We have nothing holding us back, and we are not attached to anything.
What even is the dark, because I think he was kicking to a sugar receiver, and the teacher, near the embassy, so the same embassy, Shimadovna, and the Pedro Marseille, Yorma, Sakalisha, Yomare, Karsa. digjo na ne jams ta zo chone to so tong se ya wa se na ji en ba de ne大是可是超着看的真这个这个什么的跑拍呀这样嘛是吧？他从被大这大学生大什么是江西乡的有么的大一样的我们的都是的有那么的没去，那么大的没什么的新的西部要不的有什么的，就是说是江西说的呢，那三个星期呢，从事的那些呢，过被就把这么有嘛的是。我第二觉得，那那咱也那偏头嘛的，这里啊，他们讲的别，上了下一周过去要上了讲的，那签到这个上线记录是的，干这个工作上呢，那可是那边的用的上呢，那这我女士的工作是说的这个是。
So as we are talking about the benefits of being in a solitude, we have to always remind ourselves, or a practitioner, why I decided to isolate myself from hustle and bustle of life, the dear and near ones, from the crowds, and be in a solitude, right? Because the whole purpose is to be able to train our mind, to tame our mind, right? To have a peaceful mind, right? Mental happiness, mental stability, right? This is the whole purpose. But if we forget the purpose, we simply isolate ourselves physically from all the craziness of the world and be in a solitude, but our mind is still crazy like anything, then it doesn't serve any purpose, isn't it? We're just physically in a solitude, but our mind is going crazy like bananas. So that doesn't serve any purpose, right? And so as Geshe quoted from his memories, that if even in a solitude, if we live like some of those wild beasts who are still like very ferocious, like devour the whole thing, right? If our attitude is like that, it doesn't serve any purpose, isn't it? The whole purpose is to calm down our mind and to develop our mind, right? And we always have to remember that we are there, right, so that we have reflected on the negativities and all the problems related to attachment. Why attachment is not a healthy thing, the diluted attachment we're talking about, right, dear near one. Why hating someone is not good, right? What kind of negative impacts it will create. So to be able to deal with those issues, we just said, okay, I want to isolate myself for the time being, if that is what it is, so that I can look within my mind and I'm able to, right, understand all these emotions better and find a way to manage them and to get rid of them eventually. If that purpose is lost, if that focus is lost, then there's no point of staying in a solitude because it's just simply you isolated physically, but mentally you are crazy. You means all of us. The mind is crazy like anybody else in the crowd. So it doesn't serve any purpose.
Da gri yos so gone shashi me rab de ne ba shi ne da adesa shenji mengar chema za mai bas ta ko ba shin ne ba shin yer se se bo direke je kayo mar se so be ne ba shin ne be chebe ba godon de jogo ya jero di direke je maris Timza Neve Tsang, Shin the Joy Tsang, Tisha in the Kaza, Dumogoshi. And the Shin draws the Quatamoko Korashi near me, so that they Bishop Shi and the Jamie near Shahin Shigua Yamara, Bishing Do did not Tabu Savaka in Shaga, Donald Joshua did the show. Go say that this on the near Embargo, Yondita. Don't they embe yonde hiorta. No the embaten saxi, emba maden carriers, emba maden shava for a candy, Dikiria. Tombo chuggy chen dressing and later gum to Maris. Tombo embaten, Goroya, Lord Johnson, and Shui Jeris was the gumdon of the Otisoro. Sisoda Kaza, show you the death. Because Chaji Baba Maidas in the Kaza, you know, I live at the Sumi 最近嘛一些你们人生活意思啦是吧？是的，所以就他们要做恰当妈妈些，你小于我是吧？宿舍这里叫是约吧些，小于你玩的吧些。哦，对的，可是因为把产业把嘛，因为你玩的吧，最近嘛一些是，你这里呀，我们被亚国们亚国的留下嘛，留下我们所有些的被我们所有家长最近嘛一些的，可是你们刚刚最近嘛一些结果是吧？我现在我第一什么说呢？因所就他们的，阿里你们讲过嘛？就是你们带头嘛的时候是吧？我的他可是想说呢，因为带头嘛的，同不同都是地界里啊，不给当你们这国嘛，现在共同嘛的时候，我的。
So as you know, we have been discussing the benefits of being in a solitude. Of course, we are talking about Bodhisattva's way of thinking and how they think about the benefits of solitude. And of course, as I said earlier, you know, physically isolating ourselves from the hustle and bustle of life and staying alone in a solitude. But if we don't really train our mind, if our mind is not isolated, it doesn't serve any purpose. The whole point of going into solitude is to take care of the mind, make some transformation changes, isn't it? Okay? But if you go into solitude for ulterior motives, right? Hey, what are people saying about me? Do they think I'm a great practitioner now? Or what are the people in the town talking about me now? Now I've been about, now you're in a trap, isn't it? It doesn't, because now, you know, you're all caught up in the worldly concerns, right? All the name and fame and all of those things. So it doesn't serve any purpose. So as you know, Geshe explained, that when we think in terms of practice, especially meditation, as ordinary practitioners, how should we proceed the practice? Well, in the beginning, you know, it is really important for us to isolate ourselves from the hustle and bustle of life, all the conditioning factors that normally disturb our mind, that can normally give rise to afflictive emotions, attachment, hatred, jealousy, you just name it, isn't it? And as Geshe quoted from his memories, some you know, very important lines, where in a Buddhist text it says that because we are sentient beings, by definition we have afflictive emotions, isn't it? We are ordinary sentient beings, we do have them. And having the delusions within us, if we are in the proximity of the objects of delusions, we are likely to experience delusions, isn't it? If you are near an object of attachment, you are likely to get attached to it. If you are near the object of hatred, you are likely to be violent and hate it, isn't it? And even near the object of jealousy, you are going to be jealous, you know, because that's how our mind is not trained, you know. So even if we want to practice, improve, but that's who we are, and we are in the proximity of all these objects, it's really hard to train our mind, isn't it? Because these conditioning factors are so powerful, and they easily provoke all these delusions. So we need to isolate ourselves from all of those things so that we have the mental space and we have the freedom, and then we can really make a good plan to develop our practice. And once we practice for a while, now we said, okay, have I made any progress, right? Then you want to test it. And the Tibetan word is called Choji Kenjava. Apply the Dharma conditions to it, which sounds very archaic for you, right? It means put yourself in the real situations. Now find out, have you made any progress or not? Or are you the same person? In the solitude, you look like a saint. But in the crowd, you are the same old person, cranky and all this yagadi. That means, you know, zippo. There's nothing, you know, no benefit of being in a solitude. But on the other hand, you find certain kind of change that not easily reactive. At least you are able to control yourself. Well, let's make a progress. Okay? So this is how we have to balance and do our practice. So as an ordinary people, you know, in the beginning, when our mind's not trained, being in the crowd, you know, we find it very challenging to train our mind, isn't it? Because being in the proximity of all these objects can provoke attachment, jealousy, hatred, anger, all of those things, isn't it? And as we talked about this before, there's every possibility that the incorrect mental approach will arise. or we can call it fabrications. If we see a beautiful one, we fabricate the beauty. If we see something we don't like it, we make it more horrible than what it is, right? Our mind can easily do all those crazy things, and then all other delusions pop up, isn't it? So it is important, as ordinary people, not having trained our mind at the beginning, we need to isolate ourselves, right, from this condition, and then be in a solitude and practice. Once we develop it, go and test yourself, right, find it out. So this is what we are talking about.
Tibetan nanga dugin dorsi. Tibetan di kong tada nimba dea kong nanga dugin dorsi tida mendoi kong di yeri da imba den yonde de. Nanga dugin dor kem da temba kuman de tongyongwa da yinywa peta gombe julum chuywa rida shendi jowa chi shedang dengi di jibo doli chang kanda garang me ka 중세 매 제다 민직대다 rabde kanda nagda risu gawane yeshun yeji rabde nyoan jur da kanda da dakir sheba me kanda yunin namba kundu me serida vinjikden deneva teda nagalani longdan do sheso mangdi songla sodar leja mangdi deba naji nangda Lazati Yuana never de Shesos. Go did a gajeta. Emma didn't get the Yonde in Kaza Nanga Doje. Any kind of Teneta Dingy Jibun Doje. So that dosums Sidua or did Delia Emma Debi Yonde or a dead Nadina Telepe Teda Nangal and the London Josie. In the independence Gomjavina, Topache, that Zuluza, which is the Torah. She's a Naga in Russia, Chora, what is yours?
So, in the extensive commentary of the guide that Geshe is using, it also cites a number of sutras, right, to substantiate the point. In other words, the benefit being in a solitude. And the sutras cited are called Namkat Zoji Do. Space Treasure Sutra, and the thing is in Gebido, Samadhi Raja Sutra or King of Concentration Sutra, and then the Pratimoksha Sutra or Individual Emancipation Sutra. So in these sutras, Buddha himself talks about the benefits or the qualities of solitude, and one of the things that Geshe mentioned is that in a solitude, because you are far away from many distractions, you are able to have a better focus and train your mind. That means, you may be able to gain realizations at a certain point of time more easily, isn't it? When you have certain realizations associated with those realizations, you may be able to have some mystical powers, such as flying in the sky, not in the aeroplane, meaning literally flying in the sky. And other things like that, because all of those things are related to the inner realization. In the Pratimoksha Sutra, Buddha said that, monastics, once you have learned extensively, listen to it, then you should go into the solitude. Right? That means do the practice, right? Theory and practice.
Dile tambo ya Shartse jobi shir sumba yemi mingi se gewala songo se gewala se jaga chigara da di joju da deji chigre adi se ta gedon kizin do dire yorwa kaje doju shongi se ne joju se ba doju shongi se jomars be kaze ina be geva shorse Shero, odi shedi da de doju shongi si be empate was laza koi kadu didn't give us a sugar. So the data that Gaya tada de let about some of them get is on series. Yet on the chances about Jesus in the usual Maris, Kazi Jasha was so the thing Gaya Maris or the low that Gala say the song Jasur.
The Indian Buddhist masters, whose name has been translated in Tibetan as Kewalha. Now I can't go back to the Sanskrit one, but the name should never be translated. But anyway, so it is called the divine virtuous, person. So based upon what is stated in the 8,000 verses Pranjana Paramita Sutra, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, where Buddha talks about the need that one should not be contented with few things, that one should really be very elaborate and do extensive things like that, right? Buddha talks about need to really engage in extensive actions and things like that. Whereas in this context, we are talking about need to be contented, right? And be in a solitude, cut down on all this, so many other things. So is there a contradiction here, right? What is being said in the 8,000 verses Pranjana Paramita Sutra and what's said here? It looks like on the surface, isn't it? Here we said be contented, be simple, be in a solitude. But over there, you should be elaborate. You should do more things. Don't be contented with a few actions, right? So the clarification is that there isn't one. Here, when we talk about the need to isolate ourselves from hustle and bustle of life and be in a solitude, at least for the time being, is for the ordinary people like us, practitioners, isn't it? Otherwise, if we are living with each other and amidst the crowds and hustle and bustle of life, even if we want to train our mind, we find it very challenging, isn't it? In the proximity of all the objects of delusions, we are likely to be deluded more, and it's very hard to practice. So therefore, solitude has a lot of benefits for us, right, to develop our mind. But what is stated in the 8,000 Pranjana Paramita Sutra is for the Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are the ones who are dedicated for the well-being of all sentient beings. So Buddha telling them, right, yes, you should do everything to benefit sentient beings. Do not be contented with helping few people, right, doing few things. Do it more. Do it elaborately. Do it extensively. Just go bananas, so to speak, right? So that's for the Bodhisattvas. Don't be contented because you help some beings or like that. Just be extensive. Just go. So there is no contradiction because the target, right, audience are different. Okay.
Revala se nyeko yoshi membe nise de nyungse zangda kumboso dyoshi kuna sinyawa miko ye se shada chwe se chugu somda diwa so ye kwezam changshin tele shen draso ye se chegju shi lungju jeyang mebe na na rangi lu changpa de zembe ne so bawa dang jinji dang shakhin je suwa ma shi jang da shu ma shi jang chungu so je se tongdu tokpa dang chokpa dang sudu tokpa so je se jigba mewa neba namshi kyurnyang du se sabe yang de momba shashi joya je jinu so nyang so lawa shawu se o dire da ene ne duji shokji shi se ene za de yoshi za de me de cha yo mara ka ji sigu ne me na ene kaza su yin chogu mara je da sibe ne me tepja ji ene chogu so tepja ji she ene be 또한 장식이 사바시에 대마도제 양 꾸마지 샤와들 거야 그 잘라 자시버들 자는 마냐 인자 ene dos deja ne ko kuma so ne ko so do maris en choju shi mari ka ga shego maris en lo de jo maris what is it da do you show you dance de zanya je me de ja ne pen do marwa kaza shine ko de zan de según de me ze la ze ne de de do ko ni de ba long sa yo sa de mo je long sa ta rin bu chi bu she de ne so do pe de gu la so yo lang sa de long so je me刚刚吃过是吧？现在啥生活的那生活是的，生活在了的，气的话应该我这点个时候说，我就是第一个在这个阶段，这些不是没啥，你干嘛是学过嘛？天上我的没啥，所以被，可是马家嘛都是我这个是没弄些的，这这学过呀，要么是，干嘛学这个嘛，上回种这个嘛，看要么，弄东西别做这些我的。
lui di baba maje chesedi
La.
lui di baba maje kya sedi
Ba se da lu song ma se so se se ro yo ma se so mi sa ni pa to ba ji se ga ra wa ji se ma se
no so no stanza 28 on page 106 reads when shall I come to live without fear having just a begging bowl and a few odd things, wearing clothes not wanted by anyone, and not even having to hide this body, unquote. Okay? So I guess the explanation pertains to that. So being in a solitude doesn't mean that you don't need to eat, right? You don't need to wear anything, right? So you don't need anything. That's not the point. You do need few things to sustain your life, right? And so here, of course, the example is about the monastic mendicants, right? Sangha, in a solitude. So you need an alms bowl begging, right? Which is not made out of any valuable metal. It's just made out of earth and clay or something, right? And then you are wearing some tattered robes. Every monk is supposed to have 3 sets of robes, right? It's really not a pricey, expensive, right? From the 5th Sack Avenue, Geshe didn't say that. You know, it's just, you know, tattered robes. Then whatever you get something to sustain your life, food, simple food, that's what you need, right? So you have a cloth that protects your body, but it's not the kind of clothes. You don't own anything valuable that others really are eyeing on you, right? I want that, right? If you have valuable things in a solitude, well, you could still be in a danger, right? People can attack you, they can, rope you off, they can kill you for whatever. But you don't have. Who wants an alms begging bowl? Who wants a tattered robes, So there's nothing to fear. You are free, really, okay? And I asked for Geshe the explanation, what does it mean? And not having to hide this body, meaning that you don't have to worry about protecting this body, right? Security sense of, because there's nobody in the solitude who wants to harm you because you have nothing, they want, And so that's all kind of benefit there, but you still need to eat. So you have to have a simple food and all of that. So in this context, Geshe recalls that, remember, when we talk about developing shamatha, calm abiding or mental tranquility, shine, as a prerequisite, remember, it said that you should find a good place, meaning a right peaceful solitude, and then you should also find a place which had easy access to food, isn't it? If you stay away too far off, where you cannot find any sustenance, then you cannot practice, isn't it? Because you need to eat. So you're not too close to the town that people can buck you. You are not too far off, as if you are out of the world, so that now you have nothing to eat. You have easy access to food, simple food, but at the same time, you have all the solitude and benefit, isn't it? So that's important for developing shamatha, and the same is true here about cultivating, our mind and practice in the solitude.
空的人多有空的他，那那个多开始现在呢，这有什么影响力？可是下他吹现在这看起，现在可以把有些问题是吧？下他吹些多聊着吧，这下他吹的是，东西考过这的考过是那东西我说没有，我多这个事情嘛的，我因为相信没有的，也不没有这些。只不过小学嘛是的，现个只不过在东北的山头的，现在没那的，这不学过这些过。天的这位上去些，天的这位上去些，旁边把送过来些，就是到那。这个哪能的到底晒没点劲，现在两个那没认识，我都是在这边那这时候的，你不在的叫我些，那边都是小的就是这边呢，那上街去的旁边送过来，旁边没人家，这到底是这现在两个的没认识的，两个多不。他把是吧？两天是他把什么？他把你就不透这意思，我咋感觉没人现在你就不特别的是吧？我第一次。
So in the extensive commentary, two sutras are cited to substantiate the point, all the benefits of being in solitude, and the sutras are Sutra on Mindfulnesses, Tempa Nyavarsa Vido, and the sutra requested for by a Bodhisattva by the name of Phuntsok, which literally means the good arm, Bodhisattva. Now I'm breaking all the rules like anybody else here. So as Geshe explained, in the Sutra on Mindfulnesses, it is said that, of course, the example are the monastic practitioner yogis. The clothes they are wearing, robes, are tattered ones. Maybe these are the things picked up from the trash and nobody else wants it. But yet still you can wear and keep keep your body protected. It's okay, So how they can pick up the patches and sting them together. So it's a patched, trash, but not a trash, tattered clothes there. And the alms ball is not made out of a precious metal. It's just made out of some wood, right? It's kind of old, and probably nobody's eyeing for it. And as for food, if you have access to fruits or some eatable roots, that's okay. That can sustain your life, your practice. And so, based upon such simplicity of life and the contentment in your heart and mind, and focus on your practice, if you can persist in a practice like that, and Buddha said in the Sutra on Mindfulnesses, Nirvana is not far off, my dear. That means you can, you can quickly attain Nirvana.
Oh, this is 최고단의 수용행을 당 매도 매등행을 점지정 초배선의 대비 수님 토지 연대 때마다 쇼님마도 똑바로 도주래 자는 제발 전에 샤다트이 거장신 고바임에 내서는 남식타네 다는 예반줄 냐시 강서 다샤시 사이 흥세라 토니 쳔두네 나시 롱모저바줄 니도 그래 샤제지 니무 셀메 담잡다 담자서 조아시진 총제지 지면에서 나시줄在座的人些呢，泡沫酒回答的，社工因为咱他给是那些绿了下面就是心中你说但是心中你说但将会台湾全部可见的是同学的感动的那些的那样不是写说。那些说，通过的查拉斯，我这里看见的空地的，是连着看着是呢，泡沫就到就的，泡沫就到的，兄弟们就到的是泡沫就到的几万是我这里， 어디 데레송 야시고 다 가서 슈니마디 독주래 짜는식 봐 짜서 봐지 그샤다 그 아니 고바에베 나스 네 가서 나도 나시 저거 가들이 진짜 데레야 대중나산 데레 몸보래서 아니 맹야시 간좀 다시거와 사이롱지 라토니 자 사이롱지 롱지의 사자니세요 자자 자들 사디 태자들와 제가 태자 로토니 또지사 제메 켐네 남시 로모 시시 남시 로모 저버 저르스 어디들 케네 에디세 롱지 데야 디제고 드바냐네지 카드시라요 나시 어디를 시거래 얘도 그저 차지 니모 세면 담자다 담자다 중화시베 시지 총제지 제베니서 나시 저르스 어디다 인제 바 드바냐네 셰네 에니베 총제도 미드도 비 제베니스 제바 강시 그 주요 지와지 가도 용로 신하시 되죠. 근데再错了样랑셰니 파모제 그다다 이제 그자다 시국이 무슨 나유류라 샤미줄 심중누졌다장에 두바자보 그제도 통수대회 나가도 나시다니 내가 계속 통기니 통모던 제바던 달라스 어디 거기다 부모도 동수도 몰라들 자셔지서다 근데 그거 사다 줘봐세 근데 그 세수님세 인내 행정대 대네 인 두어서 자되는 예지 코네 인 자베 부모 넘바신 지고 만에 이제 대 줘버리게 저러 그래서 부모들이 그거다데 세공 인거상 인거서 대자 양해자면 저거 못해서 나가지 어디지 언니 행동들 들어야지 거기지 용로 시다서 근데 동물지어로 어디래디 녀슬랭 오리스요.
So as Geshe read from the extended commentary, as we said earlier, Sutra on mindfulness has been cited to substantiate about the benefits of being in solitude. The sutra requested for by a Bodhisattva Phuntsok, the good armed Bodhisattva, we talked about that. And another source cited is called the Shantideva Gyeltsen, the realization narratives of the 7 young ladies. That's my translation. So in these realization narratives, stories, the lines that Geshe read and explained are what we call the aspirational prayers of these 7 young ladies, and so in their aspiration prayer, right, they invoke all these feelings, right? When can we shave our head, right? Be bald, and don't worry about all this like hair craziness, and we can go into solitude and dedicate our practice. When can we not worry about what we wear, right? Think that we can just wear tattered clothes and then be free and do our practice. When can we be able to not worry about food, right? That we can find enough sustenance, right? Very simple food, contented with that, and then we can go into practice. When can we be able to do that? That we don't have to worry about the housing and everything. That we can just live freely in a peaceful forest, right, under the greenwood trees, and then for bedding we can use the grass, right, just to give some warmth at night, so that I can wear the grass blanket, that's my translation, and just be warm and be happy with that, and then we can dedicate in our practice and to be able to do that, right? So these are the aspirational prayers of the 7 beautiful young ladies in their realization narratives. So that has a lesson for us, right? And so that he said, through our practice, when we be able to benefit the people in the town, right? So that we will be able to benefit spiritually, and then they, have the opportunity to earn the merit and make offerings, like that.
行中都有那吧，那他的牛生如果让是如果三项切的嘛是当上的，那也没得这些吧，些吧呢，可能那他的节目中提到的成不率的上些经常的，所以什么些了，鸟样的下的。写作的写的的，一般没做也是，就帮了是，我在这时候是，我都把有拍摄的吧，他龙芒不意思啊，考虑切的马戏呗，行啊这里边，行这里边，康巴的开没有线，你这都要相当社会的时候是吧？成不了的上去成哎。常为送我什么西了，鸟样的下的些说，但那一般了，没做就帮我了是，路的下班也不过嘛年是，他同时的一般都带那生意通就帮些，别叫我去唱的是，这什么啷个去了？是这什么啷个嘛是，大概是这了，就帮我的是，帮我了。留了下边年不过嘛，那是留了下边年不，留没大把的没多不过没，其实，告诉土著人那时候说呢，我先希望等这那个热的如果他的，那个留他在上面留的星期六的，留大不是说完的人，千万没有，因为学习到底，呢，就那些个说。我些吧，就是的那个旅游的样，的大部分时间的大部分去的慢点吧，说些上吧，些从吧工吧，就是样的么吧呢，旅游大吧，也了些吧也了，土著说的些吧的了，是这些说旅游用的啥说呢是，些有的是旅游的。他人的那样，他平时听着过吧是，旅游用那些吧就完了。就说呢，我们叫我这不是运动是，旅游用那是的，这个用嘛是的，旅游个留下的地方就他都考就是，旅游老师个听着个这样的不是，听着个嘛这底下要嘛是吧？就是个用那的是个。电就是这天热时候的给着了，现在这样土著搞着的，所旅了下次的所了的土著了的这块一般的，比我用现在我们国的是我的时候好些。
Acharya Veera Lovenpao, in his condensed work on perfection of wisdom, Shantideva, also talks about the benefits of, dwelling in a solitude and nature, right? Where he talks about where, I don't have to worry about finding a house or accommodation, but I can just live freely with the nature, and so on, right? So he talks about the benefits of that. And now if we think about that, and then should we worry like, okay, if I have to live with a simple food, right? And tattered clothing, and then the grass blanket. Well, that's too much, What about this beautiful body? I still love and care and attach. So to deal with attachment to the body, because now we have all this justification. Yeah, I'm okay, but my body, my beautiful, handsome body, that can't take it anymore. Well, to deal with attachment to the body, so the next stanza, 29, really it recommends that we should. Really reflect on the impermanence of our physical body, okay? The transitoriness of the body. So let me read the stanza 29 and then translate the explanation given. Having departed to the cemeteries, when shall I come to understand that this body of mine and the skeletons of others are equal in being subject to decay? Okay? So now, we are making a comparison, isn't it? Yes, I'm so much attached to my body, but in reality, the body I have and the bodies I find on the cemeteries called dead bodies, they are of the same nature, isn't it? Nothing is there to last, but at the end, you know, my body will also finally end up in the cemetery. In the Tibetan word, it's called Nyungma, means cemetery seems to be the permanent address of our body, isn't it? Once we die, where will the body end up? In a cemetery. There, that's it, end of the story, right? And so if that is true, so what is the point of being so attached to my body? You know, look at these other bodies, skeletons on the cemetery. Once upon a time, this is like that. Finally, this will be one of them. So, you know, if nobody's getting attached to this body, so why should I be attached to this body? Okay, so this is how, you know, we counteract our attachment to the body.
And to joke on the Geshe wrote Shabu Mawresa, Rubas and the Namju to joke roll Longju Shah the Kata to the Ganga to the short while Chip Corby were thinking about Sharak. We Kwasha Saya Pasha to tell us the Corby Georgia, so the Tindesi or Rangi, so Louis the Tinaki Sharat. Says that this is the Lumizon Gomasa, the teaser. Sim Dami was Lumizon says, you're already the Lumizon theory. The somewhat another reward, Takaji. Or did now she got Shartse up a Rosagi and a ruin the Hitat Dugari, throwing by no Samara. No. This way.
So we're here talking about how can we counteract our attachment to the body, you know. If we really deeply consider the true nature of our body, it's not in the sense of lasting forever. Finally, it will become a corpse, dead body. Finally, it's going to rot. Finally, it's going to smell, okay? That's all facts. We're not making up anything here. And so that's the true nature of our bodies. So why am I getting too much attached to this? So this is what is highlighted in the stanza 30, which reads, "Then because of its odor or foul smell, not even the foxes and others like vultures, who usually thrive on the flesh of the dead bodies, even they find it too stinky. They don't want to come near you. Usually they love to eat you up. But now, you know, your bodies have been rotten for so many days, even they find it is not tasteful anymore, okay? They will even run away. We'll come close to this body of mine, for this is what will become of it." So we said, if we think in terms of the future, where our body will eventually end up, if we somehow think that my body is perfect, it's divinely pure, okay, nothing wrong here, I'm so feeling attached to this, well, the real story of the body is it has a lot of imperfections, impurities. You know, at the end, it will become dead. Then if you keep it too long, it will smell. Even the vultures and animals who thrive on eating things, they will run away. Nobody wants to touch you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that's your body. Yeah. So we think about these things, then it will help us to be able to kind of deal with our attachment to the body. So we will stop there. Now, so Geshe said, I have been informed we have no Q&A today because of all the things I said before. But I do have a lot of prayer requests. We will do that, and then we have the handing over the baton of GSTDL from one venerable to the other venerable. You know, get to me jump to show you again. The dirisha that I'm also getting kidu yen yuwage yen ge amala sha the wa ame ming la yang ngui sa roage didn't the things tangorisha roa but the 30 shil to Redwada, the name of 30 chukis, the name of Tunji Kangadu, Rogan, Tunji Sunga, but the two men jump to Naronas. Taganashi Nenarwa, did get Tene Naza, Duk Fam, down and a high thing win. They get near service jump to Naronas. So here's the request. Most of you know one of our long-time students and board member Yen. Her beloved mother passed away recently, and the first week is August 4, and then we are going to observe, I think, the monks basically, 7-week observation. So we request prayer for her deceased mother, Nguit Min Nguyen. Okay. We have prayer requests for healing for Duk Pham undergoing cancer treatment, and Hai Thi Nguyen for recovery, and then any other people we remember, right? Add to the list. First, we will do our Lokteshwara Buddha of Compassion prayer for the deceased, and then we'll do the healing Buddha prayer for those who need healing. Chadong Golun Gyuben, Gyewo Dong, Jendong, Gyewa Sangbe, Sangye Dong, Kala Kande, Tela, Ditonga, Zamba, Chere, Zela, Chanze, Om Mani Peme Hong, Om Mani Peme Hong, Om Mani Peme Hong. Omonim Beme Hori, Gawandi, Yoda, Chere Sewan, Rujon, Roa, Chiga, Dia Salam, Barasho, Toje, Pella, Yombe, Jomden, Senzan, Tebe, Yendu, Dome, Dozon, Sanje, Menjela, Bindoye, Chaze, Lo, Theata, Becas, Man, Becas, and the Samoga de So. Page 3 of the booklet. Lord Gyaltsen, Udo Begadin, Gyasam Pongwe, Chidon, Minba Shin, Denba Zinla, Wando Gichu, Tanyan Chogun Chala, Sowa, Le, Mawan Dame, Gunyan Doma, Kanrin Jongso, Ninda, Senzeba, Jangun Jawa, Niwa Yapse, Tanson Dinze, Mawe, Shiva, Dinjin Chewe, Inwon Zeb. 谢谢你们常驻点对我龙道堂学北北北语，对照家族更多小点说，特上工当谢谢，用作有点土本压给些农业节节那个白点吧，出点行业常不小点，光南后面。南大quân电当周边偏的quân节些，很多居民七百些。 街上对街人多小点说，记者老面头街没那么大，街上对街电当上面，说说多多去多。那边对个轮着说，让张新给公布采访面，做到他们的给用这么，就说这也好做他们这些，当地民些少给某种。 突然见到路上叫我一协助电帮这边北云，他对对这讲给新年中养对年节红包小，今天中国强大边面中，这边说话说说他话，让他随便养到王八一，路上见的别多小的， Tujo Gyeltsen Nunzi Yangbe She, Samjo Namje Sangzin Jombe, Gomjo Shela Songju Debu De, Dembe Mata Chenpo Shabde, Chebe Dongma Kowa Bojo De, Zembe Rila Siyu, Zembe Dende Tizu, Kiro Shenye Chenpo Shabden Sho, Kebe Langdo Kushe Zeda Je, Zembe Kara Nyezo Rangsa, Samlu Deja Rikwa Yishen No, Shabden Sho, Tezan Rula Jabe, Tende Je, Menjo Taje Zame Sijin Ba, Labjin Jijin, Yongye Chenpo Shabden Sho, Shozon Jawa Seje Shela Da, Tuden Damjin Songmen Chele Je, Daja Lasang Dabe, Chida Menben Lungun Lundu Sho, Changjo Simjo Rinpo Je, Maje Banan, Yewa Nyamba Meba Yang, Gone Gon, Dewara Sho, Doni Tawa Rinpo Je, Maje Gone Gondun Bewara Sho, Sa Shi, Beijing Joshi Mendo Zhang, Rida Linxi Ninde Yenba, Sangye Shindo Mede Wewa, Luwe Nanda Jinla Jeba Sho, Kari Rabe, Gorwe Shingan So, Pendang Dewa Malu Jung, Jere Sewa Tenzin, Shabe Sidi Bado Denju Ji, Yidaman Guru Ratna Mande, Niyandaya Me, Yawa Gundo Yangda Lama Dan Reme Cheje Bela Lo, Sada Lamye Yunde Rabzo Nen Doji Changi Goba Nyu Sho.